Hey friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first ever art journaling video. This is January of 2022 and this is something that has been on my heart for a really long time, so I'm super excited to dive into it with you today, and I hope you're going to follow me on this journey and maybe take it for yourselves. If art journaling is something that appeals to you, maybe you can follow along and create yourself. If it's not something that appeals to you, maybe you can grab a different kind of craft that you do and still join me and hang out together for this crafty session. So I have assembled a few different items that I think I want to use today. I just thought it would be less overwhelming to pull a few supplies together rather than kind of floundering and trying to figure out what I want to use. So the first thing is the art journal that I will be working in. It is a 5.5 by 5.5 square journal, and I just did a haul video and showed you guys all of these supplies in much more detail. So if you're interested in more information on which journal that is, you can check that out. I also have some pattern paper. I have some Tim Holtz Small Talk stickers for my title. I have some washi tapes. I grabbed these two here. I also have some ephemera. So I grabbed this one here, which was from this packet, which I went through completely in that haul video. So if you're interested, check that out. And I also grabbed this little pocket watch from this little pack here. Also went through all of that in the haul video. Since this is January of 2022, it's a brand new year. Today is January 6th. I thought it would be fun to incorporate a clock just to represent the new year and the time. And then I also have a couple of movie tickets from when my son and I, my youngest son and I, went to see Spider-Man No Way Home with a whole bunch of our family members. My dad, stepmom, brother, his wife, and his two kids, right before Christmas. And I thought it would be fun to try to incorporate those in it as well, just because yeah, I want to include things from my life. So I thought it would just be fun to use these as little background elements rather than just tossing them in the trash. So those are the things that I pulled. I also have a couple coloring mediums. I have some of my brand new Stabilo Woody 3-in-1 pencils, which I'm super excited to try out. And then I have a white Sharpie and a black gel pen. I also have some water off to the side, which I'll be bringing in just a second. And I have some white gesso and some clear gesso. So those are all of the things that I have pulled to kind of use today, and we'll see if I need anything else, or maybe I won't even use all these things. But anyway, I think I want to cover my work surface because I do use this for card making as well, and I want to try to keep things clean. So I'm going to cover this and then we'll be right back to get started. Alright, so I have laid down a Tonic Studios craft mat under there, just in case I get any gesso or anything on my work surface to try to keep it a little bit neater. So I'm going to open up my art journal. And I will say that a lot of art journalists that I watch say to start somewhere in the middle of your book because it's less intimidating. I'm going to ignore that advice because I am a storyteller, I'm a writer as well, and I want my book to be like a story of my journey through art journaling, especially since I've never done this before. So I just want it to kind of show my progression as I learn and grow. So I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm still not sure if I want to glue 2 pages together. These are very thick watercolor papers, so I'm not sure that it's necessary. So I think what I'm going to do is open up to the first 2-page spread. I do want to work in spreads, which means the entire 2 pages that you see at one glance when your book is open. You can just do 1 page at a time if you want to, but I think I'm wanting to do 2 at once, especially since I'm working in a smaller art journal. So if I decide to later on, I could glue this page to that. This one is not watercolor paper, but it would add just a tiny bit of stability. And I can also, since this is my very first one, if I see any warping, I can glue that to the next one and then next time just work on that page. I also cut down 2 little sheets of some parchment paper. You could also use wax paper or anything like that. And I'm going to tuck that underneath my pages just so I don't get any spillage onto the other pages. Totally not necessary if that doesn't bother you, but I am a little bit of a neat freak. I like things to be nice and tidy. I know that it's kind of ironic considering that I want to start art journaling, which isn't neat and tidy at all. But I just want to preserve the rest of my book, so that's what I'm going to do. Because this is perforated pages, it doesn't lay flat in the spine, so there is going to be a ridge there. So I am going to cover that with some washi tape because I don't want any inks or water or anything leaking through and staining the other pages. I also want to preserve the spine of my book, and I don't want those perforated parts to get wet and kind of start to tear apart on their own. So I'm going to grab some washi tape and just use that to seal the center of this book, the spine. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. A few little wrinkles is okay because it's going to add some texture. But yeah, I'm just going to tear that and then press that in there as best as I can. And I can always come back and trim that little bit later, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Just kind of make sure that that is nicely sealed there. And then maybe you want a little bit of extra washi tape. So I'm going to take this one and just add a little bit here and there, just to give it some more interest in that background. I really like this ship, so let's do that one. Maybe right there. And then I have this clock, like I mentioned. This is a washi tape sticker. So I just need to grab the edge of that and peel it away from the acetate. There we go. And let's see, maybe we'll put that right up here. And I do like that these are transparent, so you can see just a little bit of the washi tape showing through underneath. All right, and then we've got these other little bits of ephemera, and I'm going to use a glue stick to adhere those. So let's see. I don't know if both of them will fit or not, but we'll start with one. And I think that one will go over on this page. Just make sure that that is nicely adhered. Can I get another one in here? Maybe I'll tear it and just use a little bit down here. I know that I want my focal image to come right over here, so I'm not covering up. I don't want to cover up that. How about right up here? I don't want to take up the space down in this bottom corner because I know that I want something else to go there and it won't be transparent, so anything that I would put there would be completely hidden. And then let's see, do I want this one anywhere? you know what? I think I'm gonna save this one for another project. So let's see. Do we want this one though? I do like this. Let's go ahead and tear that. So I want you guys to leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have other art journaled, or if you're going to start now, if that's something that you've been interested. I know when I did my announcement video letting you guys know that I was going to start doing this, there were a lot of you who said that you've been wanting to do this as well, and you've also been collecting supplies but you've never done it. So I'm really curious if any of you guys are going to join me on this journey. I really hope that you will, especially if you're someone who's been wanting to. Consider this your push to grab your supplies and just try it. I mean, look at what we've done so far. We've practically covered up the page, which is one of the hardest parts. It's called breaking a blank page, because the white page is so intimidating for some. And we've almost covered up the whole page already. Of course, we are working in a small book this time, but even if you're not, yeah, look how quick we've already got a background going on. So if you don't have washi tape, another thing that you can use is just regular masking tape from the hardware store. So I think I'm going to add just a little bit on this side because I don't like this line right here. So I think I'm going to just cover up some of that right there, and then maybe we'll use this little piece. Let's put it right there. So I know that I want to use some pattern papers from this Stamperia Arctic Antarctic 8x8 pad. These do come in 6x6, 8x8, and 12x12. So 6x6 would have been perfect because it would have been almost the same size as the notebook, but I had never ordered any of these before, and I actually kind of liked the larger images. So I know that I want these polar bears here to be my focal image. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut around the polar bears. Do I want to fussy cut or do I want to tear it? I think I'm going to fussy cut the polar bears, and then I'd like to use some of the paper that's left over elsewhere in this spread. So I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the fussy cutting in the video, since this is my first ever art journaling video. I've seen people who leave it in and people who cut it out. So you guys can let me know if that's something that you don't mind like chit-chatting during, or if it helps you to see how I'm doing it, or if that's something that you would rather have sped up. I really don't know how long this video is going to end up being. A lot of the art journal videos that I watch are about an hour long. Some of them are even longer, which I know is a lot longer than anything else on my channel. Usually I don't go over a half an hour or pretty close to that for card making, but you know, this is a whole different ball game. So I'm sure that it will be a little bit on the longer side, at least compared to that. I'm not going to worry about this little blue part here between the baby polar bear's head because there's going to be other little bits of blue in the background anyway. So I'm just going to continue working my way around. I'm trying to keep my scissors mainly straight and turn the paper as much as possible. That's going to give me a cleaner cut. So you can see there that I'm actually turning the paper with my left hand and keeping my scissors fairly straight. And these are the Cutterbee Teflon coated scissors. This was the very first paper crafting supply that I got. It was for my husband for Christmas after I expressed an interest in starting paper crafting, which was 11 years ago this January. It was January of 2011. And they still work amazing as if they were brand new. Let's see, I think I'm going to cut those rocks off. I still may use them, but because these bears are pretty large already on the page, I think I'm just going to cut those off, and then I can decide if I want to use them and where. So I'm just going to do like a gradual slope there, I think. All right, so there is going to be our focal image right there. So they're going to take up most of that page, which is totally fine. But I want to use some of the rest of this. I just love how distressed looking it already is, and I think it's kind of amazing. So I think I'm going to cut off this strip here. Or do I want to, actually maybe I'll tear it just to give it a little more interest. And this could almost be like looking like a washi tape strip because it's nice and straight there. So I'm going to save that. Let's see, I might want to use that. I think I do want some of this up in this corner. So let's go ahead and tear some of that off. I like this little ice cave there, so maybe something over there. Just make that slightly straighter. I really don't know how long this video is going to be because my camera shuts off every 10 minutes, so I have to restart. So often I will actually shut it off and restart even before that happens, just to, you know, not accidentally, I like this over here, not accidentally have it shut off on me. So I don't like those straight edges. I want it a little bit more organic. So I have no idea how long I've been filming already. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this new foray into art journaling. Okay, I'm thinking maybe that there. Anything else? I do like these rocks from the bottom. So maybe something there. I think I'm going to tear that off a little bit. Make it a little less straight there as it transitions. And I think I'm going to tear off just the back there to make it straighter so I can get it more flush toward the right side. Let's see. Oh, I have this little bit here. Maybe something in there behind the polar bear. Just kind of laying out different things and seeing what I like. And then once I'm happy with that, now I do wonder how difficult this is going to make things being seamless. I may have to cut that and glue it, just tuck it into the spine because of that big step from the perforated pages. So that might be something to keep in mind if you are looking for an art journal and you want it to be more flat. You may want to look for one without the perforated pages. All right, well, I think I'm happy enough with what I've got so far to start adhering things down. So I'm going to go ahead and start to glue. Try to make sure that those are really well covered. So you can see that that is going to cover up part of my clock and part of my ticket. That is totally fine with me. I want things to be a bit more integrated together. So take this strip. Get that one back behind there. So, did you guys set any New Year's resolutions? I'm very curious to hear. I stopped setting resolutions a few years ago in favor of doing the one little word concept. If you guys are familiar with that, you basically choose a word that is going to be your anthem or your mantra for the year. And in past years, some of my words have been home, let's see, thrive. One year was forward motion, even though that's technically 2 words. I decided, you know, I can make it work for me, and that was what I really felt that year. And this year, my one little word, I decided to just maybe stop taking things so seriously, because usually it's all about growth and not only like personal growth, that always, of course, but also like just growth with my YouTube channel and trying to develop my skills and all of that. And I still do want to do all of those things, but with all that has been going on in this world for the past 2 years, I just wanted something that was a little bit less serious. So the word that kept coming to me this year was play. So that is my one little word for 2022, which I think works perfectly with starting art journaling, because basically I'm just having a little play here with my different elements, and yeah, I just want to start having a little bit more fun and not getting so uptight if, you know, my video doesn't get the views that I wanted, or, you know, I didn't earn the income that I was hoping for and all of that, you know, which is easier said than done, but, you know, I just want to focus more on having fun with the products that I'm trying to enjoy, and less on, I don't know, just getting really uptight about the numbers and all of that. My video is about to die, so let me pause 1 second. Okay, so here is where we are so far. I still don't feel ready to adhere these down, because I feel like I need some more blue here and maybe here. So I'm thinking maybe to use a little bit of this piece here. Somewhere in this area. That works. And I'm sorry if I keep sniffing. I promise I'm not sick at all. I'm just standing up to craft and leaning forward, so I feel like that's making my nose run a little bit. Do you guys stand up to craft, or do you sit? I do a combination of both when I'm card making. I sit down to color, obviously, because I need to plant my wrist to really get... No, I don't like that piece. To really get like a, you know, a good handle on my Copics and all of that. But I stand for other things, so I kind of go back and forth. So far for this one, I've been standing the entire time. Also, when I'm sitting, I cannot see the viewfinder of my camera. It's above my head. So because this is like my first art journaling, and I want to make sure that, you know, everything is in frame, I have been standing the entire time so far. So let's see. I don't like how these are like basically level with each other. That kind of bothers me. So I'm just going to slide that up a little bit, and then maybe add another piece of something over top. So as you can see, a lot of the stuff is getting covered up, and that is totally fine. That is a part of art journaling, is, you know, covering up and having things kind of peeking out here and there, and just building up those layers, which is going to give you the interest on the texture. I do like this little text bit right here. I think that would be good to have somewhere. Just kind of testing it out in a few different places and seeing where it fits. And you certainly don't have to use only one piece of pattern paper. You could go back to other prints in your pad and see what else looks good to you. All right, how are we looking? I think I need a little bit more of something in here. Yeah, I think so. I want to break up this kind of large piece here from the washi tape. So just something that kind of disrupts that. Be good. All right, maybe something here. I don't like that that is, I started to cut that earlier and then decided to tear. And I feel like that needs just a little bit of something. Maybe we'll use a little piece from the back with this kind of furry print. It's like the texture of a polar bear's fur. So if you're wondering, if you're brand new to my channel, if you've never been here before, if this has brought you in, polar bears are one of my favorite animals, which is why I chose the polar bear for today's spread. Also just because it's January and I live in a very snowy part of the country. So I thought the snow theme was appropriate for this time of the year. Let's see. I think I need one more bit of this somewhere else to tie that in, or maybe even two. Maybe something in there. So I will say that working on this mat was a good idea because it gave me a place to use my glue stick, and it is very tacky right now. So, you know, probably in a second before I move on to the next step, I am going to grab a baby wipe and just wipe that off so that my book isn't getting stuck in that glue. And I will probably decorate the front of my journal at some point. I did mention that in my haul video as well, but I'm not going to do it now, mainly because I don't know what I want to do, but also because I want this journal to still be able to lay flat when I'm using it. So I don't want anything textured on the front of it right now. Okay, I think I'm happy. One more right there, I think. Something small even. I think I'm happy with how the paper part is looking. So let's see. Yeah. I think I'm gonna glue it down. I'm gonna glue it down because I'm gonna clean up the glue. And then I'm going to add some white gesso to kind of blend the different elements together. And probably some clear gesso as well to seal everything in. So let me just make sure that this sweet little polar bear is very well glued down. We'll get them right down in this right corner. Alright, so as I was cleaning up, I found this tiny little strip and decided I wanted to use that. So I am going to just add that right there. Alright, and now I am ready for some white gesso. So the one that I'm using is by ProArt. It's super, super old. I want to say probably 8, 9, 10 years old, but it still works just fine. So I'm just going to shake that up. And it's going to give me a little bit there in the lid, and that's what I'm going to use to work with. So let's just move that aside a little bit, and then basically I'm just going to use my finger. I just want a tiny bit. And I'm going to add it here and there to kind of blend in some of the little accents and make them a little bit more seamless together and make them look a little bit more blended. So I'm just using my finger. You could use a brush if you don't want to do that. If you are going to use your finger, I recommend having some baby wipes handy nearby, or, you know, a place where you can wash your hands otherwise. Yeah, or you can use a brush, like I said, but I just feel like my finger gives me a little bit more control. So I'm just going to add that a little bit here and there. Not a huge fan of this like more creamy color in this particular spread right now with the color palette that we're working with. So I'm gonna tap some of that gesso on there and kind of get rid of that. Just here and there wherever I feel like the elements just aren't really coming together, or if something is standing out a little bit too much and I just want to kind of soften it. It's almost like adding a filter to your page. Do I need to zoom in a little bit more? You guys can let me know what you think. If it's a little bit too far away. So some of that might get on the polar bear because I decided to gesso after, but that's okay. That'll just help them be incorporated a little bit better into the scene as well. Up here. Now, if you don't have any clear gesso or matte medium or something that you're going to use to seal your pages, just be aware that the mediums that you add on, like we'll be using those woodies with some water, it might not spread as well if your paper isn't primed. So you may want to add some of the gesso underneath before you even get started, or it really just depends on what kind of paper you are working on. So it's a little bit more here and there. Let's see, over here. If you don't like, you know, like the numbers and stuff, you can gesso over those. I want a little bit of it to show, you know, so that I can remember that, you know, why I put it in there. But you could also just cover it up completely with some gesso if you're not wanting that there. So it's really up to you. This is your page. You can do whatever you want. And, you know, you're welcome to copy this completely if you want to. That's how a lot of artists learn, by copying the masters. Not that I'm a master, but if you want to, feel free to copy this exactly. It's still, I think, going to end up being your own because, you know, we're all different. And even these things like the finger strokes I'm doing with the gesso, yours are going to be slightly different. So feel free to do that if you want to, but also feel free to grab whatever supplies you have. If polar bears aren't your thing, if animals aren't your thing, you know, you could do a flower or a butterfly. You don't have to put it in this corner. You could swap it, you know, do whatever you want to do. Do what feels good to you. There's no right or wrong in art journaling. It is absolutely for you and you alone, and you can do it any way you want to. And actually, that is one of the things that kind of made me want to do this for so long. I absolutely love card making. I don't think that I will ever stop. But the reason I got into card making, and I have always said this, is that card making is about putting love on paper and giving it away. It's not for you. You get the enjoyment out of the creation, but once you pass on that card, and I firmly do believe in sending cards out and spreading that love throughout the world, once you send that out, it's out of your hands. It's not for you anymore. It's, you know, it's for the recipient. It's to make them smile and make their day. But art journaling is about putting love on paper and giving it to yourself. It's a gift to yourself. It's all for you. And, you know, I kind of expressed this in the video where I talked about starting, you know, as moms and women and mothers and daughters, sisters, friends. We often overlook our own needs for the sake of others. And it's time to do something for yourself, whether it's art journaling, whether it's some other kind of craft, whether it's, I don't know, just taking a day to go to a movie by yourself or read a book or whatever. Whatever it is that you've been longing to do, you have every right to do, and you absolutely deserve to do. So here I am giving you permission to go and do something that is for yourself. You have every right. So, all right, I think I'm happy with that gesso. So I'm going to dry this. I'm going to use a heat gun, and mine is really loud, so I'm going to do that off screen. And then I'm going to come back and seal this with some clear gesso. So I'll be right back. All right, so that is mostly dry, and I did zoom in a little bit more, so hopefully you can still see everything. I'm going to be using this Dina Wakley medium clear gesso, and I will have links to all the supplies that I'm using down in the description bar. So please check that out. If you don't know where the description bar, it is right below the video. Depending on what device you use, there's usually like just a little arrow that goes down, or I think maybe it says show more or something like that. So whatever your device on, it does show up unless it's on a TV. But yeah, you can find all of those supplies down below. And I will be using some affiliate links. So if you want to use the links that I post down below, that would be amazing. That would just help support my channel, and yeah, would be great, because then I would be able to just make sure that I'm providing the best content and always giving you guys like the best supplies. Maybe I can even do like some review videos for you guys on different supplies as I test things out. So yeah, if you want to use those, you absolutely don't have to. You don't have to purchase anything. You can absolutely use what you have. But if you do decide to purchase anything, if you want to use my links, that would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so I am just coating this in some clear gesso, like I said, to seal everything that I have done so far in, especially because there's so much pattern paper on here. The mediums, the wet mediums, are not going to work as well on those drier surfaces, those absorbent surfaces. They're not going to flow as well as I would like to if the paper is not sealed first. So that is what I am doing. I am just sealing everything in, making sure that that is really well, especially in that seam there, making sure. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. One of my kids is doing his chores, it sounds like, up in the kitchen, and it was quite loud. All right, so I think that is sealed in everywhere, so I'm going to dry this again. I did think of one tip to share with you. I'm not going to turn my heat gun on, but make sure that when you are heating up your project to dry things, that you do stay a fair bit away from your project. If you get too close, you may scorch it, and you wouldn't want, you know, those yucky burn brown marks on the page that you worked so hard to create. So definitely stay far back and move your heat gun around constantly so that it doesn't get burned. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, so now I'm going to start to add in some color. I pulled in these 3 shades of the Woodies, and I'm going to start to add a little bit here and there. I have never used these before. These were a brand new purchase, so let's test them out together. I should be able to lay down some color and then blend that out with my finger, which you can. Very nice. And then you can also blend them out with some water, which I will probably do in a few minutes here. But first I just want to kind of have a play with them and see how they're working with just my finger. So that one really blended out. It just depends, I guess, how hard you push and how much of that pigment you lay down. But I do really like the effect that they're giving. Let's see. Let's add a little bit more down here. Like that. Maybe up here somewhere. Maybe a little bit up here. Okay, and then I wanted to add in a little bit of this darker blue shade. I don't think they have colors on them, but they do have numbers. But I wanted a little bit of that to kind of pull in some of these darker blues in here, so I'm going to try that next and see how that looks. Very nice. And I did leave like little edges here that kind of hang over from where I tore the paper. So you can absolutely go in with your scissors once your page is all dry and trim those off if you want. I don't know that I will. They're pretty close to the edge. They don't hang over that much. And I kind of like the look of like, gives it kind of a little bit of a deckled edge there. So I might leave it. I think maybe a little bit up here. Let's blend that with this one. Okay, can even pull some down into the page a little bit more. Add a little bit there, maybe some here. Let's see, where else? Maybe a little bit in here. And if you end up doing something and not really liking it too much, you can always just go back in with a little bit of your gesso and cover that up or mute it down a bit, you know. All right. I think I want to see what these do when they are combined with some water. So I'm going to set that up here. I've just got my paintbrush from the gesso in there. And I'm going to grab, oh, whatever, any paintbrush will do. And let's just see how these move. Right now it's still the pigment that I blended out, so it's not going to be a lot there because it's very soft in these areas, but I'm just kind of testing. I think I want some definition in here. So let's maybe add some of this silver and see what that does. Kind of added almost like a pinky tone in there, which is fine. Maybe I'll do a little bit of the darker blue instead. And I know you can also pick up the pigment straight from the crayon, so let's try that. Oh yeah, that actually gives quite a lot, maybe more than I wanted, so I'm going to blend that out. And if you're still not happy with it, you can always grab like a paper towel and just dab some of that off. So I feel like that was just a little too much in that area. So let's try that again. So it looks like I'm going to have to post this video on a Monday, which I know that when I said I was going to start art journaling, I wasn't going to replace any of the card making content. So my thought was to try to do these videos on Wednesdays, but after I took a look at my January schedule, I actually don't have any extra days to film other videos. So I kind of had to replace a card making video with a art journaling one. And the reason for that is because my family and I were going on vacation in February, and so I have to do a lot of work ahead of time before we go so that it doesn't interrupt my schedule and my commitments to the design teams that I'm on. And so let's see if that'll run a little bit. Maybe needs a little bit more water. Probably a little more pigment as well, but so yeah, my January schedule is absolutely crazy. I have no days off this entire month, and that's also because I do have to pick up some shifts for a coworker while she's going on vacation, so I have no days off this month at all, and I'm either filming or working at my job, and I didn't want to wait until February to start doing this. I thought if I wait until February again, then I'm not going to end up doing it. It's just going to get put to the back burner again, and I don't want that to happen. So I hope you will forgive me if this ends up being on a Monday, which it pretty much is guaranteed to be on a Monday. And I hope you'll enjoy it as well. Even if you are not a art journaler, maybe you will be by the end of this year after maybe being inspired, who knows, or maybe you'll just enjoy, I don't know, the creative time and the chats and taking time for yourself. I really want you guys to take some time for yourselves while you watch these videos. You know, you can knit, you can bake, you can crochet, you can paint, you can watercolor, you can make cards, you can color images, you can do almost anything you want. You can work on a treadmill, you can do so many different things. And yeah, I hope that you will take that time for yourself. I want to play a little bit more, I think, with this color and see if I can get a little bit of movement down towards this edge here. See what happens if I add some water. Just kind of let that fall naturally and see what it does. I probably would have more success using like a watercolor for this, or a spray, and you just take the knot, you know, the inside part out and kind of brush that on the side of your page. But I'm happy with that. I think that's kind of cool. I don't want this big blob, so I'm going to take that away. See what that does. And just erase the part where they meet up there. And then it actually gave me some splatter, so I'm going to run with that and pick up a little bit more. And do a little splatter. Just carefully, I don't want too much on the polar bear himself. If I do get some, I can take a baby wipe and wipe him off because he is covered in that transparent gesso. A little bit, the smaller ones I don't mind. And I think I might do that with, do I want to do the darker one, or do I want to do like white or black? I think I might want to do some black, but maybe I'll save that for the end. So let me just pause the video for a second and take another look and see what else I might like to do. Okay, so I think I actually want to do a little bit of stenciling. So I have a Lawn Fawn stencil here. This is a 2-part snowflake stencil, but I think I'm just going to use one of them. And I thought it might be fun to try this fairy dust paste. It's like a glitter paste. I think it's going to go on clear, but have a lot of glitter in it. I have not used it yet, so I thought it might be fun to try it out. There you can kind of see how that's looking. So I am going to add a little bit up here. I don't think you need a ton, so let's see how this goes. Just using a palette knife here and kind of spreading that around here and there. I don't mind if like an entire snowflake doesn't get covered. I don't mind if it's a little bit patchy, as long as it's clear what it's supposed to be. That one looks like it's going to be on the polar bear's bum a little bit, and that's totally fine with me. Let's see, do I want any more? Maybe this one here, if I can get it flat enough, a little small one. Let's see what that did. Okay, it's hard to see because it is clear. Let me see if I can lift that up and tilt it into the light so you can get a better picture. Can you guys see that? Definitely left behind some snowflakes. I think I like that. So let's see, where else would I like some? I don't really want to cover up this Arctic World phrase, so maybe right below it. And maybe some down here. Okay. Okay, that's hard to see as well, but I think it will look really cool later on once it's dried, and it definitely will add some texture. So that's good. Do I want to add some in white as well? I think maybe, so let me grab some modeling paste. Alright, so I have some Liquitex light modeling paste and the other stencil. I am going to work quickly because you want to clean those stencils right away. If that paste dries on there, your stencil will be bumpy and you won't get a nice clean effect anymore. So I think I'm just gonna do a couple here, and I'm gonna try to hold it out of well, my modeling paste is quite dry. It is old, but I did get some, so let's see if it'll work. Get just a few here. If it doesn't work, I can scrape it off, so I'm just going to go for it and see if I can get some of those. Okay, yes, it did leave some. Did I put clear ones up here? I don't think so. Let's try that. Hopefully I'm not ruining the clear ones. Okay. Maybe this right here. Okay. I'm happy with that. So I am going to go wash these stencils. Alright, so that paste is dried now. I dried that quick with my heat gun, and hopefully you can kind of see how that's looking. You could definitely add some paints around them as well to help them stand out a bit more. I'm getting a little concerned about the length of this video, so I think I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave them as is. But I do want to highlight my polar bear just a little bit more and give him some definition. So I think I'm going to go back to my Woody, and I'm actually going to sit down for this and I'm just going to pick up like a little bit of pigment at a time and see if I can just create a little bit of shading there, just so he stands out a little bit more on the page. So I'm just going to go around, especially under his legs, to kind of give them a little bit, just make him look a little bit more three-dimensional and bring him forward, just like I do with my Copics, adding those darker shades on the outer edges, just kind of brings them a bit more to life. Let's do it here between front legs. You can even do it right over the image itself, which I will do here. A gray would also be good for this, but I just thought I would use what I already had out. See there, you can see that that made that little star there kind of stand out a bit more because the paint went there. So you could definitely add some paint around these, and that would make them be highlighted a bit more. We'll see. I'm nervous about, I know these videos are going to be much longer than my card making videos, and there's not really anything I can do to help it, because if I skip forward and skip over stuff, then you guys won't learn. So you kind of have to leave the whole process in there, other than like drying time and stuff. But it's always nerve-wracking when you try something new, isn't it? So we shall see. I really hope you guys will let me know what you think down in the comment section, because, you know, I want to grow and improve and make these enjoyable for you. But like I said, I think if I would speed them up, it might be fun for you to just watch, but I don't think you would really learn anything from that, because this is how long it takes, you know, and that's okay, because we're taking that time for ourselves, and that's not something we do very often, so it's okay. All right, that is a little bit dark, so I'm going to grab my paper towel and just dab a bit of that away. Do I want to highlight under the baby bear? Maybe just a little bit. There. All right, let's see, anything else? If I weren't so nervous about the time, I probably would do a little bit more, but I think I need to start wrapping this up. But maybe I will just add a little bit of color around some of these snowflakes, just to make them be a little bit more visible on the page. It's just going to give them some definition as well, make them seem highlighted. So I'm just working very quickly, going right over top of them, which is probably going to stain some of them a little bit blue, but that's okay. And I don't think I'm going to do them all, just maybe a couple here and there, especially on the outer edges. And I don't know that I'm going to do, well, maybe I'll do this one over here. So I'm just pouncing some color down very quickly and then adding water over top of that and then lifting it up with my paper towel so that it's not too blue, but it'll still leave little parts that are more defined, so it'll make them be more apparent. Okay, so we need a title. So I'm going to go to my Tim Holtz Small Talk Ideology papers here, and right away I saw this one that says start doing things that you love, which I think is extremely appropriate since this is my first art journaling page. Where do I want it? maybe somewhere in here. And then I thought maybe I'd do 2. Life was meant for great adventure. That one could be good. Leave a little sparkle wherever you go. Go where your heart takes you. That's a good one. Okay, so just gonna put that down right there. And then I do want to just highlight those a little bit, so I will go back to my Woody and just add a little bit of shading underneath those. Kind of block them in a bit. Dab off just a tiny bit of that. And then I want to incorporate that into the page. So I'm going to grab this gel pen and see if I can kind of just block those in a bit more. And I'm purposely being pretty sketchy with it because it goes with, you know, the collage-y theme. Okay. So that's good. So I think all that's left is a date. So I've got my date stamp right here. So let's go to January. Today is the 6th of 2022. And I need to grab some ink. You want to use an archival ink so that it doesn't run. It needs to be something that is permanent and waterproof. So I'm using this one from Ranger. And again, all the supplies will be linked down below. So let me just ink that up. And I think I'm going to put it right down here on this snowdrift. Ah. I don't know if I can get it. There we go. Oh. Does that say December? Oh, no, it says 06. Okay, well, all right, let me grab a touch of gesso to just cover that up so it doesn't look like it says December. All right, so I've gessoed over that and dried it a bit, and I actually think I'm going to take the lid of my ink pad and just set that underneath the book to make it a little bit more stable. I think that's going to help. And then I'm going to re-ink my date stamp, and let's have a go again. There we go. Perfect. All right, that is going to complete my very first art journaling page. I think it turned out wonderful. I'm really, really happy with it. I love the polar bear. I never did the white splashes, but oh, should I do the white splashes? This video is already so long, but okay, we'll do some white splashes with some Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And let's see, I'm just going to take a little bit out of here so that I can water it down just a touch. Okay, and then hopefully I'll get some small drops by tapping it against my finger. One fell on the polar bear's eye, but it actually made him look like he has a glint in his eye, so I think I'm going to leave it. I don't know if I'm going to wipe that away. That was like, happened to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to call that good. So there we have it. My very first art journaling spread. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. It's definitely something I've been wanting to do for such a long time, so I hope you had fun and enjoyed this little journey into art journaling, and I hope you'll be up for more of these because I'm already so excited to do my next spread. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Do something for you today, okay? All right, bye-bye.